Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I think everything that can be said about 2020 has been said, so I won't bother. I think we all know what kind of nightmare we're living through. But in spite of that, I think the Business Improvement District is well positioned to take advantage of the return to normalcy in 2021. I think that the good work of Chris and his team has positioned us well financially and with systems and plans to ramp back up as things return to normal. I think that kudos also should go out to Chris and his team for the initiatives that have been implemented in 2020 to help the stakeholders with dealing with the COVID issues. I think that the BID has done a tremendous job in reaching out to our membership and helping them in many, many ways. Again, thank you all for joining us, and we will get this meeting underway. I'm going to turn it over to Chris.
Thank you, Skip. Welcome, everyone. I appreciate you that are on the meeting and taking the time to go through this with us today. For the shareholders that aren't aware, we're actually covering 2 years in this annual meeting. We had last year's meeting scheduled for the spring, and it did get pushed back due to COVID. So we're here. We're going to report both on 2019 and 2020, but this is for the current fiscal year that we are reporting, and we will hold elections for our board members at the end of my report. So again, welcome everyone. I want to talk about some positive things first. 2019, which we didn't get a chance to report to you, was a banner year for the Business Improvement District and our signature events and programming. I'm happy to report in 2019, it was our largest grossing year historically in the life of the BID for both the number of events, the growth of the audience, the exposure for the marketing and the downtown community, and community support from the surrounding communities, as well as financially. In 2019, the Business Improvement District leveraged your dollars to create an additional $354,000+ in revenue to this organization. That money went directly back into the community, whether it was through programming efforts, marketing, rent assistance, capital improvements, architectural lighting, you name it. We leveraged your dollars to create this additional revenue stream. We had in 2019 over 100 programming events that did not use 1 penny of shareholder dollars. We only used your dollars to leverage and get us off the ground, and we supported each and every one of these programs with both sponsorships and other means of support, whether they be grants or what have you. We've created a real marketing niche and value to the local community by doing these events. And for those of you that don't recall, the reason that we started doing all these events was to activate the downtown. So it creates a better environment for the folks that work here, the folks that live in the downtown, which thankfully we'll be talking about a little more. There's some exciting things happening around that, as well as visitors to our community. MGM's investment was tremendous, and we're trying to again leverage their audience, and we worked with them in 2019, and we, as a matter of fact, our Jam Fest, which is a signature event for the Business Improvement District, contributed to 2 of their largest grossing days since their opening. So we're super proud to be a part of that. We had What's on Tap Wednesday, which was a new event in 2019. We brought over 17 local brewers to downtown not to only serve their product to the downtown audience, but also to show them all the possibilities that Springfield has to offer for their business. And as a matter of fact, we're continuing to work with one large regional brewer today, in addition to Springfield's own White Lion Brewery that will be opening soon. And they're considering a location in downtown Springfield. So we're still working with them. Obviously, that's been waylaid a little bit, but it's still alive and kicking. We've done ticketed events in 2019. We sold 2 of those events out, 400 plus tickets sold for each of these events. And it was an annual sweater pub crawl that brought business to all the local establishments, as well as our restaurant week launch party. The last 2 endeavors that we did prior to COVID was our Red Sox weekend, which we worked with MGM to, again, leverage their audience on Main Street in downtown Springfield, which was a tremendous success. And our Ice Invasion, we moved to that weekend to support that event. So those were our last 2 events that you would recognize. Now, I will say that this year we were able to continue our farmers market effort with a pop-up farm share, and that was done as a pickup at our visitor center located at 1331 Main Street. We did close our visitor center in an interest of realizing that people were not visiting the community. We just opened it up on Fridays for that farm share effort. But we, again, in 2019, that actually created a positive revenue for the organization as well. So this is if you haven't been to the visitor center, we are open right now, and we just opened for this month, and that is to help support primarily the Bright Nights gift shop, as well as we've purchased gift cards in an effort to support the local restaurants for COVID. And we've sold through the first week of this initiative over $5,000 in gift cards for Springfield restaurants to help support them. And we'll talk more about what support we've given to these first floor retail businesses as we get further into my presentation. But I do want to say that prior to the shutdown in mid-March, we had been up year over year, a 300% increase in visitors going through our Springfield Regional Visitor Center. Our marketing, this has been a long road, and it was one of the initiatives that I thought was very, very important for the bid and for the local community. And I'm proud to report that year over last, even with COVID, we still saw almost a 25% increase in the SpringfieldDowntown.com visits. And we have annually in 2019 over 80,000 people reading our Springfield Downtown newsletter, which goes out weekly, either Wednesdays or Thursdays. And we had a 38% increase in our social media followers. So right now we have 3,500 followers on Instagram, 1,800 followers on Twitter, which were both new initiatives in 2019. And our Facebook followers were just under 20,000, and we expect to go over 20,000 regular followers in the coming year. The next slide I'm gonna forward to, and then I'm gonna play a video. This video, just so you realize, was used in both digital campaigns as well as social media campaigns, hitting both the Boston and New York market. This is something that we pivoted when things changed due to COVID. And this was the video, and I'll play this and then I'll talk a little bit about it. So this video was used, it was created in-house by Bridget Delaney, who's worked for us for a number of years and is super creative. And I can't tell you what this video would have cost if we had gone out to a commercial vendor to create a video like this. So this was served primarily in a geofencing targeting area of both metropolitan areas of Boston and New York. There are a lot of people that have called and inquired about real estate in Springfield as a direct result of seeing this video, and whether it was on a digital campaign and or social media campaign. We had over 40,000 viewers organically, 4,100 engagements with the videos, and we've added 142 followers directly from this page on our social media. So we hope that, and we're working with, get to the next slide. I'll talk about this slide in a minute. We're working with, I know there's a property owner. I see his face on my screen. Glenn, how are you? That's getting ready to convert a project of both the Johnson's bookstore and a former bank building on this block of Main Street to market rate housing. And we're also working with, and our marketing has been in effect, and we've pre-sold 11 apartments for the Willys Overland building, which I'll talk a little more about. And as everyone is aware, the Elm Street project is moving forward, which is primarily market rate housing, which is incredible news for the downtown. And so we'll talk a little bit about that in a future slide, but I just wanted to talk about that marketing effort. Our clean and safe team. I know, when I took over, I think we were the butt of a few jokes by some shareholders about watering flowers and whatnot, and maybe maybe people didn't take this effort seriously, but these are some of the statistics that we've grabbed. 475 plus ground planters annually, 300 plus hanging baskets. We remove from the city streets over the course of the year, but we're removing trash daily, and we've delivered 250 tons to the landfill of trash that's been removed from city streets. We estimate that the guides cover about 50,000 miles annually. They walk each and every street of the bid daily, Monday through Friday, during this time of the year, and 7 days a week, spring, summer, and fall. The additional services that we've offered are the power washing of sidewalks and buildings, graffiti removal, street sweeping, and the regular landscaping. So if you see these guys out in the street, please thank them. They've also helped numerous visitors, whether it was help finding parking, dead batteries, walking them to their car at night, but they do a fantastic job, and we wouldn't be where we are without them. It's a core service. Capital investments. I mentioned earlier about generating revenue. In 2019, as I had expressed, we generated an additional $354,000 of revenue by leveraging shareholders' dollars. We started this project 4.5 years ago, and to date, we have over 40 installations of architectural, public safety lighting, and our newest installments are the cafe-style lights, which have been a tremendous boon, not just prior to COVID because of the social media aspect. It's if you're aware of, like in Nashville, the Angels Wings that are pretty much world famous now, with people taking their photos and sharing them on Instagram, Facebook, and those social media platforms. That's what our cafe-style lighting has become in the downtown. We see these organic posts all the time, and it was tremendous to support the outdoor dining efforts this summer for these restaurants that have been closed. Our latest installation was on Market Street, which is directly behind our office, but we did between 1350 Main and Nadine's. We did that courtyard there. We've done the entirety of 4th Street. We've done half of Worthington Street, and we're looking to we've applied for a grant, and now that we've put this in, we're probably more likely to get that to finish Worthington Street and to continue doing these installments. Our next architectural lighting program, where we'll do the architectural uplighting, will be the Willys Overland building, and those will be installed right after the first of the year. let's talk about our COVID response. We are in an application phase right now of trying to acquire more funds to help our businesses. But our first COVID relief grant round, which a good chunk of that money came from a grant from Mass Development that was geared towards the TDI district, which is a portion of the Business Improvement District. And we leveraged these other dollars to expand it throughout the bid. We gave out to 42 retail businesses in total, $75,515. Of those 42 businesses, 37 of those businesses were awarded rent subsidies, totaling $50,000. One important thing to note with that, we made sure at the time when those checks were written that the landlord was whole first. So before a restaurant or a tenant were to get a check for this subsidy, we made sure that they were current with their rent. If they weren't, those dollars went directly to the landlords. And some of the folks on this call I know were a direct recipient of those dollars. We awarded just over $18,000 to 11 restaurant businesses to support their getting the equipment, public safety stuff that they needed to expand to the outdoors. And we had a purchase program of $6,700 of gift certificates in that round one. The other thing that does not show here that I want to stress that we can't put a price on is that we were the liaison and we were the folks that, whether it was Michelle, myself, or Bridget, meeting the city facilities of the DPW to move planters, to get them out into the street, to create the bump outs that would allow the outdoor dining. So not only did we provide funds, but we were the point of contact, whether it was with the parking authority to bag meters or the DPW or facilities, to actually put planters out in the street to allow for the outdoor dining alongside of an active roadway. Our round two grant round, we awarded $60,000 there. $48,500 was direct assistance to the same type of small businesses, including our cultural partners. We did $2,500 towards business readiness, compliance, and signage. And we created a uniform look for the downtown, letting the consumer know that we were ready for them as these businesses either reopened or remained open. And $10,000 went directly towards the marketing of these efforts to let the general public know that we were out there, we were ready to serve them, and we supported these restaurants. Now, I will say that since we put this together, we've purchased this past week, we've done over $10,000 worth of gift card purchases, which we've sold about half of those already, and we'll continue. Those are just, getting rebought as we support these restaurants. We were asked not to encourage with our restaurant rally week, which was last week, the indoor dining. We were asked directly by Bay State Health to not do that. So what we encouraged at that time was takeout, delivery, and the purchase of gift cards, and that was a tremendous effort and support by the community. Here are some of the photos of some of the different things. If your upper left-hand corner of the screen is our logo digitally in Union Station, right in smack dab in the center. You'll see these if you're in downtown and you're going to any of these first floor retail establishments. These are the signs, just creating awareness around that the establishments are committed to cleanliness and safe practices, and reminding consumers that masks were necessary and to keep social distance. And it's been a struggle for all of these businesses, but so far to date, all of these businesses have been able to stay open, which I think will position ourselves very, very well when things do get back to normal next summer. So I'm coming back around to living in Springfield downtown. This has been one of our big pushes. In the past year, $65 million has been invested towards market rate and housing development in downtown, and that a good chunk of that includes Skyview Towers, which was formerly known as Chestnut Towers, as well as Willie's Overland Lofts. Willie's Overland Lofts is exciting. That's all market rate. It's 60 new units we did a project here to market those units and rent them in advance, and we've with a very small subsidy of $200 per unit, we have 11 units pre-rented with our marketing efforts. We're always marketing the units that are here in the downtown already today, and as these new ones come on board, we're going to support them because we know that this is going to change the landscape of downtown Springfield in the long term. I want to talk about another investment that I don't have a slide for because there wasn't really an exciting picture, but we are getting very, very close to announcing we purchased the Skyplex building from Mass Development. And when I say we purchased it, it was a deed transfer, and with that deed transfer came just shy of $1 million of grant funding to renovate that building. And we are very, very close at this point. It got delayed because of COVID, but we are close to announcing 2 first-floor retail tenants for the Skyplex, which is the heart of the TDI and the dining district that folks have been clamoring for. We've done a lot of work over there. We have some new businesses open, and this we consider as an anchor tenant and an anchor building for the district. And it's why this organization did get involved to begin with. And again, that will be primarily funded by Mass Development and the grant that they so generously awarded us. I'd also like to throw in there, and I take great pride in the team here, that Mass Development has 2 grants out currently throughout the state for Main Street organizations and downtown revitalization and COVID relief. And they've used our programming images specifically. They've used our application that we used in round 1 as an example throughout the state. So we're super proud that they're actually taking what we've done and using that as an example as they share these new grants throughout the state. We also have other grant applications through other foundations to help when things do get back to normal. And hopefully we will see at least a couple $100,000 come in the next 2 to 3 months from those grant applications that we have either completed or about to be completed in the next coming months. The last slide I'm going to share with you is before we get to elections of officers and then talk about questions and have an open discussion, is our budget that was approved by the Board of Directors for the current fiscal year. You will, and I can't remember if this was sent out in advance, but if it wasn't sent out in advance, it will be sent out to you right after this meeting. So everyone will get a copy of this. I know it's a lot to absorb over a slide, but I wanted to share that with you. And I'm happy to report that we are on track for a balanced budget this year. Today, we're also going to take care of some business, and the nominating committee, which is headed by Jeff Fialki, and I believe I saw his photo up here a while ago.
I'm on, Chris.
Okay. Jeff, do you want to take over, or do you want me to go through the...
No, I'm happy to. Thank you, Chris.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff.
So Chairman Lassard, on behalf of the nominating committee, I'd like to offer the following nominations for the respective service terms of directors. There's 3 different categories of varying respective terms. What I would do is name each category, the individuals, their affiliation, and then Chairman, if you would call for a motion and a second, and then discussion and vote. The first category is for terms of 1 year each. That would be Fred Christensen from Tower Square, myself, Jeff Fialki from Courthouse Park Associates, Seth Stratton from MGM. So if you'd ask for a motion, there's a motion from the floor.
I would like to ask for a motion from the floor to carry this vote forward.
So moved.
Second.
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 Second, Brian Connors.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Vote carries.
So, Mr. Chairman, the next category is directors for a term of 2 years each. That includes Brian Connors from the City of Springfield, Paul Marcelina from Picknelly Family Limited Partnership, Keith Wepler from Black & Realty LLC.
Can I get a motion? I would accept the motion from the floor.
Motion to approve.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And Mr. Chairman, the last category are for directors, each carrying a 3-year term, and that includes Frank Cornella from SIS Center Incorporated, Paul Lassard from CoSail Inc., Evan Plotkin from Financial Plaza Trust, and Kay Simpson from the Springfield Library and Museums.
I would accept a motion from the floor.
So moved.
Can I get a second? We need a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes the business from the nominating committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, now we have Focus Springfield generously helped us with the technology around having a large meeting like this over Zoom. And so at this point, I would like to open it up to any shareholders that have questions, concerns, anything that they have that's pressing that they would like answered today. Or if not, you know, I'm always here and available for anyone that would like to discuss anything they need help with or suggestions or whatnot. So I will open it up now to any questions. And without question, oh, Glenn, yes.
Yeah, I don't want to be the annoying person to interrupt what is really done a very professional Zoom meeting. But the world is going to open up post-vaccine, and I just think it would be helpful that the planning of the bid and the membership come together before this time next year to review a budget. If there's the opportunity to discuss post-pandemic strategies for the community and the business community downtown, because I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities, and it shouldn't be a year between meetings. If there's, I know the bid meets regularly, but I'm saying for the whole group, because I don't get involved outside of this one call that I'm on today. So I just think it'd be worthwhile to schedule something in the spring when the world is opening up again.
Thank you, Glenn. No, I think that should not escape us in any way. And I think we, you know, really need to move something forward late winter of this year. So what I will do is to all the shareholders put out an invitation if they would like to participate in a committee to talk about, you know, we do have some programming for the early spring, and I still believe from the information we're being given by the state that we're really not looking at a typical reopening until the summer months, but I think we should be talking about that in the next 2 months, by certainly have a plan in place by the end of February.
And just to close my thought, this is not a criticism or critique on everything that's been done. You guys are doing a great job. And I know the board meets and the membership that makes the decisions for the bid and the stakeholders has done a great job. So this is not a criticism or critique on that. It's just, I think when the world opens up again, we got to really be ready to take advantage of every opportunity there is. And I think it's everyone should be involved rowing together. That's my point. Anyway, thank you very much, and everybody have a happy holiday.
Thank you.
Chris, I'd like to maybe just make one comment. You and I had a discussion yesterday that I think our staying on top of the pocket parks in the downtown, that we that have been renovated is obviously, I think, really important now, even though business is down and there isn't a lot of foot traffic around. I think our vigilance has to be stronger in terms of maintaining a safe and attractive appearance to all of the different parks downtown, and that would include Stern Square and Pinchin Park and everything. And I think we have so many great new things to talk about. Pinchin Park is a fabulous development for our downtown, and I know there's a lot of programming that's about to happen there. And as soon as the pandemic is lifted, and things are safe again, that's going to be a huge connector to the museums and to, of course, the parking garage is going to be redeveloped down there. It's going to be another enhancement to the downtown. There's a lot of really good things going on, and I just want to remind everyone that as we look around the downtown, we should make sure that the city knows and the park department knows that it's important that the investments that we've made in these parks stay pristine as they were when they were delivered to us a year ago, and that would include Riverfront Park, and that we want to try to keep that level of quality up, because that's the way that we're going to come back. If we allow our guard down, we put our guard down, I think we're going to have a harder time rebounding. So it's just getting everyone behind the park department and the mayor to do their job and to stay on top of these areas, so that we can, when things return to normal, we can program these places and have the fun events that we're starting to get known for. That's the downtown was a happening place a year ago, and wanted to see that happen again.
Thank you, Evan. Yeah, no, we're keeping our eye on those things. You actually, a lot of the things, because we do this once a year, you forget some of the things and the efforts that were either underway or we had, the 9/11 memorial. If you haven't visited, I was part of the committee that raised the funds to put that memorial in place. Is absolutely gorgeous. It's a fitting tribute to those folks that lost their lives on 9/11, the first responders. But that park is it's a gem now. We want to keep it that way. We had, as a matter of fact, put together a program for music, free music at Riverfront Park, and obviously with everything that happened, it didn't come to fruition. But we will make sure that we highlight these parks. Pinchin Park actually will probably be, as well as the Springfield Museums, the Quadrangle, will probably be the site of our next organized event, which is our ice invasion, which we're going to do over February vacation, because it is outside and it doesn't, we separate these throughout the Quadrangle, and we have actually Pinchin Park as a location for a couple of these ice sculptures, so folks do get to realize that Pinchin Park has been completed and is open to the public again. We are, one of the things that we've seen a big uptick in this fall has been graffiti. And I think, part of that, in fact, is due to that we don't have the programming and all the activity going on in the streets. So it's easier for folks to do these things, but we will stay vigilant around these parks and all the investment that the city's made.
Sounds good.
Anyone else?
Yes, good morning. I don't know if I can be heard.
You are. I don't know who's talking, but yes.
This is good morning. This is Lester Seidman. I don't know if you can see me. But you can hear me.
Yeah, I'm going to get to the page. Yes, I can see you, Lester. How are you?
Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah, I have some just very, very basic questions, because clearly some of the other people who've participated are, I think, a lot more familiar with not only your program, but essentially their participation and the interaction with you that is just something I'm not entirely familiar with. So I guess my first question is, how many members of the BID are there?
Shareholders specifically, or properties?
Well, that's a question. I'm confounded by the terms that you're using.
Okay,
How many shareholders?
so I refer to shareholders as the person behind an entity that owns the real estate. So the numbers, and I don't have the list in front of me, it's not at my desk, but is approximately 130 to 140 individual people, companies that represent an LLC or a corporation that has the legal title to the real estate. There are over 160 bid fee-paying properties, buildings within the district. And for everybody's edification, because maybe some people that are on the call, and I see some names here that I don't recognize, the Business Improvement District covers a geography from the north, Union Station, to the east, Riverfront Park and the Hall of Fame complex. To the south, we go down Main Street, we go south further on the Riverfront complex, but on Main Street, we go to about approximately the middle of where Bliss Street once was, the heart of the MGM casino. And then to the west, we go as far west as Chestnut Street with a little carve out for the museum and library complex known as the Quadrangle.
Okay, because I think that there are probably at least there's got to be at least another person on this Zoom conference that shares some of the questions that I have. But here's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at a situation where I'm listening to the benefits of your programs and the work that you're doing, and it doesn't seem like there is an even impact amongst all your members. It just seems that these programs or these events that you're holding or these grants that are being distributed seem to be concentrated either in a particular geography or with particular buildings, because I think in the 9 years that I've been contributing to the bid, or the 8 years, which I think totals something close to $60,000 to date. Besides seeing a planter, I have not seen any evidence of any improvement or any work in front of our properties. And frankly, I'm looking at it as just one more tax in addition to the enormous taxes we're already paying on the property, since trying to get an abatement on the property itself is almost impossible in Springfield, but that is what it is. The additional tax that the bid imposes without any evidence, without any, I never see anybody cleaning in front of our property. We clean in front of our property. So I guess the question is it a case of the squeaky wheel gets the oil? Because other than this meeting, I have not had a phone call or anybody ever reach me from the bid about anything, about any improvement, any possible upgrade to the building, any lighting. You're referring to Willie Overland getting lighting. Again, I don't know how you allocate funding, if in any way you do, towards specific property owners when there are property owners contributing that have yet to receive anything that I can see in 6, 7, 8 years. So just if you could explain how this works, because it's again, I'm not familiar with it, but perhaps I'm overlooking an opportunity.
Sure, and Lester, for everyone, I know your properties, but for everyone here on the call, so they understand the properties that are within the bid that you pay the bid fee on, for everyone's knowledge.
Okay, we definitely pay at 55 State Street, across street from the courthouse.
Yep.
I'm not sure that Park Street Lofts pays a bid, but in any event, we're the beneficiary of the of other issues that the cleanup and that sort of thing is something we have to do with all the properties, regardless of what the bid contribution appears to be doing. We find ourselves actually doing regular cleaning at the properties as well. So at my comment right now really squares and addresses the 55 State Street property, where again it seems like we're on the margins. and most of your work is on Main Street. And I've contacted the city. I haven't contacted you specifically about upgrades to our building, considering we pay quite a bit in taxes. We were looking for some, I wouldn't call it relief, but some contribution in light of what's gone on in downtown, that perhaps some funding could be allocated to upgrading the exterior of the building. And essentially the doors were closed. So there was not, the discussion went nowhere. So that's why I'm wondering if maybe I'm not familiar with the mechanism to deal with this. So that's really what my question is.
Okay, well, I mean, I guess, so I hear your concerns, and I know we did meet, you and I spoke personally I think it was 3 years ago, when we last met in person. And I will say that one of your properties that's actually physically not within the bid, but we see as an asset to the downtown community, is your Park Street lofts. And you should check with your property manager there, because we've talked to your office and we've actually highlighted that property numerous times. And after this meeting, I'd be happy to share with you some screenshots of all that stuff that we did to promote tenancy in your Park Street lofts, which we think is fantastic and will continue to support. As far as cleanup, State Street is a busy thoroughfare, and my crew is actually on street a minimum of once a day, sometimes twice a day, policing the trash on the street. So we appreciate what you do around your building. Some property owners do a better job of taking care of around their property. And again, if we weren't there on a daily basis, I can't tell you what the streets would look like, but we are on State Street daily. One of the things that I think benefits your property, and not directly, is the programming and the activity that we do put on. And we choose the locations not based on a shareholder, but really the ability for the site to host these different types of events. So, you know, if the infrastructure is there, if the space is there, that's typically where we host these events. I would say that, happy to tell you that 50% of our audience, we poll our audiences for these events, 50% of these folks are from outside of Springfield. So we've created a different dynamic for downtown and what people think about downtown Springfield. I started here 7 years ago, and if you did a search of downtown Springfield, your entire screen was filled with different crime stories and bad things that can happen in Springfield. And that's no longer the case. And I would say I'm proud of the fact that our programming, which was originally supported by Mass Development, Mass Mutual, and some seed money that they had started us off with these things, is to change the dialogue about downtown. So does it affect you specifically? I think it does, and I'd be happy to share, you know, where this audience is coming from, the type of messaging. We're re-messaging this audience that does come to the downtown, and we will reach out specific. To answer your question about improvements to your building, I don't, so as you know, I work for you, the shareholders, and report to a board of directors. The city is represented, and we have a great working relationship with the city, but I am not the person that administers city plans. That being said, SpringfieldDowntown.com, our website, we share all business resources through all different entities on that page, and we keep that updated frequently, and so that's always up to date. So we have programs there, and I can't think of one today that's active, but I know in the past 2 years we've had programs that would actually address some investment in the exterior of buildings. So I can make a note and make sure you're aware of that, but if you do visit that SpringfieldDowntown.com or get our weekly message, anytime there is a new program like that, we do share it with the shareholders. We share it with an email, we share it on the website, and we share it on that e-blast. And we'll continue, and I'll make sure that we reach out to you and make sure we have the current information. But I do know specifically we've reached out because we have highlighted the Park Street lofts, and we do have a relationship with SEBA, which is the South End Business Association, that they actually pay us some nominal dollars to market the businesses and properties in the South End.
You know, Chris, may I just make one suggestion? Given the fact that, again, you know, you and others are in leadership roles in terms of the dominant approach towards these type of upgrades and these coordinated events and that sort of thing. This notion of a facade upgrade, I think would uplift the entire, if you designated a geographical zone, like for instance, I think that one of the issues that has come up, not recently, but people have watched, is the spinoff of the MGM development and whether or not it would actually have an effect on abutters and buildings in the area, that sort of thing. And it clearly hasn't had the desired effect, certainly not to date. If there were a program, a true facade program to upgrade the corridor, essentially of all the buildings, or certainly if it were done by block, or there was some sort of schedule where there was a goal, a city-wide goal to upgrade the facades of the buildings, certainly starting with maybe concentric circles around MGM and expanding out. I think that would be an exciting possibility, because part of the problem is keeping buildings clean is one thing, that's true, but a lot of the facades of the buildings are very, very tired. And it seems like you're in the role, or the bid is in the role of really, of making a change. And right now, at least to my knowledge, there is no systematic approach towards essentially at least covering a 5-block radius around MGM, which I think would boost, at least in appearance, which is where it starts, the look of the downtown corridor. So events aside, I just think that some polish matters.
I don't disagree with you. And as a matter of fact, you'll be happy to know, and I'll share with everybody, with all the shareholders, we have the recording of a meeting that was done by consultants, and that's specifically what we are working on and talking about with the city now is exactly what you've just talked about. Now, how that will get delivered, I don't know specifically, but it's on the front burner of the geographic area directly around MGM. I think initially the hope was that private enterprise would spur these, facade improvements and investments in these properties. Some folks have purchased properties and sat on the sidelines thinking that there was going to be a large return post MGM. That, as we know, did not happen. But there is a concentrated effort by the city presently, and we're sitting at the table when this is being discussed. And I know there's going to be a matter going in front of the city council shortly about creating a zoning opportunity. I don't remember the specific terminology that's used, but that is exactly what is starting to go on in those blocks that you've just referenced. So that should be hopeful news for you, I hope. And we will keep you abreast of all the changes as that's laid out, and make sure if you weren't invited by the city to this meeting, because I know they did invite a great number of property owners and maybe it got missed somehow, but we'll make sure that you get added to their list of invitees as someone that is in that direct vicinity. And
Thank you.
You're welcome. Happy to do that.
Hey, Chris, if I could make a comment.
Oh, hi, sir.
I know.
I didn't recognize you.
Is it the gray? Maybe that's part of it. For folks who don't know who I am, Zach Green with Mass Development, participating today in our role as owner of 1550 Main. First of all, exciting to hear your comment before your update on the 8 to 12 Stearns Square project. Excited to see and hear what you have to say about that. My question, though, is I think more related to downtown restaurants, and I'm sure that the struggles that so many of them have faced and continue to face, and sadly I'm aware of some that are not there anymore. As we head into the winter, and outdoor dining is obviously not an option for so many of them, I'm wondering what you've heard about plans or additional support. I think your gift card program is a great start, but ways to further support those folks so that when we come out of this pandemic, there are spots for tenants in my building and other buildings in downtown to go out and grab lunch.
We will do a phase 3. We're trying to pool resources, and I apologize if you folks can hear this. Murphy's Law, they've decided to jackhammer something up outside my window. right as you got on. No, this is, listen, one of the things that has hurt the most, and I'm not being directly affected, meaning I'm not the owner of one of these businesses, but I talk to them all on a regular basis, and the struggle is, they employ a great number of people. They are an amenity to the downtown. We worked so hard to bring new ones in, and unfortunately, because of so many companies working remotely, that just the sheer numbers of people that aren't in the downtown working, they need our support now. And we don't, we know how hard it was to bring new folks in, and we know how hard it was to change the dialogue. So at the given time, and until that's not necessary, we're going to do everything we can. I don't know what round 3 is going to look like specifically, because we're trying to pool a couple of different resources, some of which come from a different division of mass development that has been, and I'll thank you and thank the entire organization, as I have numerous times. Your support has been critical, and again, it's allowed us to leverage our dollars to go further to support these folks. So we talk to them on a regular basis. One of the, in phase, I think it was the end of phase 1, one of the things that we saw was getting the infrastructure outside for them to do the outdoor dining. Right now is just creating awareness that they need your support. The governor's office, the hospitals have asked not to push in-house dining. It is still open. There are some people that are comfortable with it, and for those people, we say if they're comfortable with it, we're doing all the right things. But we will have a round 3, and I just don't know specifically how deep that well will be or how those resources will be used yet. Always welcome your comments or what you think would be helpful too.
Yeah, I wish I had an answer for it, honestly. I just, I'm sure like a lot of us fear for those businesses and of course the individuals who work there and own them.
Yeah, we'll keep doing everything we can. And again, be positioned to give them, to hopefully bring as much business back to the downtown as possible when that time does come. I mean, the good thing that I've heard from restaurant owners is knowing that the vaccine is there and there is now a finish line. 3 months ago, there was no finish line. These are folks that are taking money out of their retirement accounts, out of their personal savings to pay the bills so that they could survive through this pandemic. And the problem at that time was they didn't know how long they were going to have to do that. At least now that we can kind of forecast when we feel with some certainty, people will get back to, a more normal setting.
Thanks.
Thank you. I don't see any more prompts coming up. Is there anyone else? I don't want to leave anyone out. We will clean up a version of this. We'll send this out to everybody that was on the meeting, as well as the other shareholders that weren't able to make it. I want to thank, again, Focus Springfield for helping us put this on and making this go so smooth. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to listen to what we had to report today. And again, I always welcome your comments, concerns. Please reach out for the folks that had questions that I wasn't able to answer fully. I will get back to you and try to provide you as many of the answers as I can. And I appreciate everybody's input. Thank you very much. Have a happy holiday.